When you're knitting in the round, one of the tricky things can be to keep track of when you're starting a new row. And there are two ways to do that are pretty easy. The first method is to use a stitch marker. To do that, you'll want to start at the beginning of a round. You'll knit one stitch, because if you just put it on the end, it's obviously going to fall off. You're going to put a stitch marker after that first stitch. And after you put on the stitch marker, you're going to keep knitting the pattern for whatever you're making. The first stitch of the round will be the stitch that's on the right-hand side of the stitch marker, and you just have to remember that as you go. Now the second method of keeping track of where you are on a round is to use the cast-on bit of yarn that usually is left. So here, when we cast on, we had some extra yarn, and we'll weave it in later. You might have more yarn, you might have a little bit less. We wind it into a ball. It's just kind of the way that I've always done it. Leave it dangling, and so now you know whenever you see that ball of yarn, you are at the end of a round and you're about to start the next round. So that's another way of keeping track of your rounds without using a stitch marker.